All right, this video we're going to talk about a couple of different ways you can transform text. Like all the commands we've been covering, I'm in no means trying to make you an expert on it. I just want you to know that it exists and things you can use it for, so that later on if you have a problem you can be like, oh yeah, I can use this command to do that thing. So the first command we're going to talk about is tr. It can be used to translate different kinds of characters. So the one common thing you can use it for is to change lowercase to uppercase. There are other things, but that's what we're going to talk about. So I had a list. I don't remember what I think it was list of items 3. I changed that. So here I have a list that has capital letters at the beginning of the line. I don't like capital letters, so I would want my list of items to have lowercase letters. So I could do cat list of items. I could use the pipe character to send that through tr, and I could say, hey, make the capital letters lowercase letters, and then I get output there. Same thing with this command as others. It didn't actually change the list, right? So if I wanted to have a new list, lowercase case list, if I want to have a new list, I would do it that way. So that's tr. You can use it for that. That's basically the only thing I use it for. If I get something that has a bunch of capital letters and I want to make them lowercase, I can use it for that. Let's look at something. Yeah. All right. It didn't have the thing I was looking for, so we're not going to talk about that. The next command we're going to use is sed. Sed can be used to substitute commands for other commands. And we're just going to look at a couple simple examples of this. So the syntax for it is you do sed. I said substitute. If you want to use substitute, then this is the syntax for substitute. You do substitute. I want to substitute all the colons. We'll just do this for fun. All the colons into parentheses from Etsy password. So Etsy password's colon delimited. That's not a parentheses, that's a percent sign. So this should change parentheses to, why do I keep saying parentheses? Colons to percent signs from Etsy password. Again, it's just going to write it to the screen. So if we look on here, it's interesting to note our first match was changed, but all the rest of them stayed colons. And that's the default behavior of sed. The default behavior, it just does the first match. If you want it to do all the matches, you need to give it a G to do all the matches. So now if we look, I have percent signs instead of colons. So that's one example. I wanted to give you guys a better example of why you might want to do that. So I made a form letter. Say you're hiring a bunch of people and you don't want to write an individual letter for people, but you want it to be personalized. So I wrote a form letter, and in this form letter I wrote it to Tom. It says, Dear Tom, we're sorry to tell you this, but you're not qualified to work for our company. The truth of the matter, Tom, is that we do not hire people that cannot use the Vim editor. While we certainly appreciate your interest, we are currently unwilling to hire you. However, we did ask our staff to interview to provide some feedback, and here's what we received. Tom had really nice shoes. I enjoyed speaking with Tom, but ultimately Tom failed the Vim test. Tom and I had lunch, blah, blah. So basically this is a form letter that has Tom's name in it. So the first time we'll send it to Tom, but then we find somebody named Bill that applies, and we're like, oh, Bill was horrible too. Bill can't use Vim. So then we're going to say, okay, I want to translate Tom, not translate, I want to substitute Tom and change it to Bill, right? From form letter. Form letter. Gotta put my closing form letter. So this is going to change the iterations of Tom to Bill. So let's look at that. We run that. Again, a couple things. It changed all the places it said Tom to Bill, except not all of them, right? Remember, we needed the G if we want to change them all, so let's go run it again with a G. It changed Tom to Bill, so that was good. That's what we wanted. But if we look at the original form letter, we see that it still says Tom. So again, this is another command that did not actually change the original source. It created output. So we would need to put that into a new form letter called form letter 2. So if we do that and we look at form letter 2, now we have Bill's form letter. So there is a way, if you wanted to have it overwrite the original file instead of create a separate file, right? So we're going to work on form letter 2. So So we're going to need to change Bill to something else, and we'll change Bill to Karen. Not that I know any particular Karens that I think would be bad at Vim, but if you know are in this class, your name's Karen, I'm totally not talking about you. I'm talking about some other random Karen that doesn't really exist. But anyway, if I want to change the form from the name from Bill to Karen, but I want it to stay in the form letter 2 file, I can give it a -I option that tells it to do it in place. So now I ran the command. Notice I didn't get any output, but if I look at form letter 2, then now the form letter is for Karen. So that is one way you can use sed. You can use sed to delete lines too, but I don't usually use it for that. So I'm not going to try to make up how to delete a pattern space now. So when a line, I think what happens is if you had a bunch of lines, well, let's try it. We'll try it. It might not work. So let's see. What do I have? Say I have grocery list. Yeah, I have grocery list, and my wife has decided we can't afford guacamole anymore. So I could do sed. I want to delete guacamole from grocery list. So extra character after command. I think the D may go at the end. There we go. So that was the syntax to delete a line that matched a pattern. So in this case, I supplied the pattern and I put the D after because that's the syntax for deleting, and I got rid of guacamole. So same thing, if I wanted it to replace the file, I could do -I guacamole. And now if I cap my grocery list, guacamole's gone. So those were 2 commands that you can use to transform text if you need to. TR I use to get rid of uppercase letters most of the time if I use it at all. And sed, if you have a file that you have a specific pattern in that you want to change to another specific pattern, you can do that with sed.